Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a Valentine's Builder Gel set of nails using the Kiki London Easy Build Up, as I think it's been a while since we've done a Builder Gel set, so I thought it would be good to do some. Now I am working on some press on nails today, but I am still going to come in with my rubber base coat, and this is because I do love combining the rubber base with the Easy Build Up Gel, so I thought I would still include it, even though it's not necessary to apply a base coat over your nail tips. You only really need to use your base coat if you are working on the natural nails. So of course you would do all your prep and then come in with your base coat before applying your Easy Build Up Gel. But I just find they are a match made in heaven. They are one of my favorite go-to combinations. Of course you can use any of the Kiki London base coats with the Easy Build Up Gel, but my preferred ones are definitely the rubber bases. So first of all, what we've done is we've applied a thin layer of the crystal clear Easy Build Up Gel, and we're going to be kind of doing like a glass style nail for this first design. So I've left that layer of Easy Build Up Gel wet, and then into that wet layer I'm going to come in and pop down these cute little purple holographic hearts. And I'm actually using my dotting tool or gem/dotting tool to do this, because these, you can apply these similar way to you would your crystals. So I like to use the waxy end to pick them up, and it really helps to get a precision application, especially where you're doing a design where you do, like this one for example, I want a lot of the hearts to be concentrated together and then I want some to float off and be on their own. So by using the dotting and gem tool, you can place them down exactly where you want, and then you can flip it around and use the dotting tool end to nudge them around into place exactly like you would with your crystals. Then we're going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds, and that is going to set those little hearts down into that layer of Easy Build Up Gel. Then of course we do need to come in and encapsulate them and build up the nail. So to encapsulate any kind of nail really, but especially chunky glitters, I like to really work my slip layer over whatever it is I'm encapsulating. So I'm really working it around all of those chunky glitters, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow our builder layer of gel to float on nicely without there being any air pockets or bubbles amongst those chunky glitters. So once you've got your slip layer in place, you want to keep this wet and then come in with a medium-sized ball of gel, and this is what you're going to use to build up the strength and structure of the nail. So starting just slightly away from the cuticle area, I'm using this first ball of gel to mainly build up the apex area of the nail. So where that nail bed is in the back third of the nail, this is where you want your strength and structure to be. So we're leaving a lot of the product there in that back third, and then I'm coming in with a second ball of gel, connecting it on to that first ball, and then walking this down to the tip very slowly and gently, taking it from side to side. Then we're going to hold that upside down for a few seconds before popping it into cure, just to speed up how quickly it will self-level. And then once we have done that, we're going to take our alcohol wipe and remove the tacky inhibition layer, as I do want to come in and just gently file this. So I'm only using the 180 grit side of my file because the Easy Build Up Gel does file effortlessly, and you only really need to do this step if you are not 100% happy with your application. If it is slightly uneven or if you've got any lumps or bumps, then just coming in with the 180 grit side of the file will smooth everything out. I find the 100 grit side will take too much of the gel off, so I do prefer to use the 180 grit side. Then I'm just going to come in and fix up that shape a little bit, make sure it's nice and crisp. And then once we have finished filing, I'm going to swap to using the buffer, and again I'm going to use the 180 grit side of the buffer, and we're simply using this to take out some of those scratches that are left behind from filing. This is especially essential when you are doing a crystal clear nail, because you don't want there to be any imperfections. We're then going to take our Kiki London dust brush, dust off any of that dust, and come in with another alcohol wipe to really make sure we're removing any of that dust, because again that's going to be another factor that could ruin the look of your crystal clear finish. Then we're going to take the Kiki London No Wipe top coat and top coat this nail. Now for this step you do need to use a no wipe top coat, because we are going to be coming over the top with the Kiki London Pearl White Chrome Powder. So that's why I've opted for the no wipe top coat here. So we're going to top coat this, cure it for 30 seconds, and then take that beautiful Pearl White Chrome Powder. Now there was a couple of So a couple of steps in this design that we're doing today that are experiments. I have never used the pearl white chrome powder over a clear tip before, like a clear nail. So this was a little bit of an experiment, and I did quite like how it turned out. It is a subtle effect, but I still felt as though it added something to the design. So taking my silicone tool and burnishing a small amount of that chrome powder over the entire nail, I kind of do like a bit of a circular motion and then go up and down the nail, and then I do pick up a little bit more if it's needed, as you do want to make sure that you are fully covering the entire nail. Once you have applied that, you can dust off any excess, and then this is the finished result. So obviously it does add a bit of a different look to what the crystal clear would be. It kind of makes it look a little bit hazy, but I love that it gives off that pearl effect. And like I said, I've never done this before, so it was a little bit of an experiment. But the great thing about chrome is if you don't like it, you can come in and wipe it off with some alcohol before curing, and you know, you've not wasted any time or anything like that. But I kept it because I thought it looked quite different. But do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So that is our first design finished. We're going to move on to the second one, and on the second one we're sticking with rubber base, but we're going to be using one of the coloured rubber bases. So here we have RB02. So I'm going to come in and apply this in a thin first coat to begin with, covering the entire nail. When I apply the rubber base on to my own nails after prepping, I really like to scrub this into the natural nail plate. So you'll see when I'm working on tips, I'm using more of a floating motion, but when I'm working with it on my own nails, I really scrub it in, and I find that it gives really good adhesion, especially if you're like myself and have more weaker nails. Now on this particular design, I decided to come in with a second coat of this colour, as I do want a little bit of the colour to come through. So I've popped a second thin coat down, and then for this design we're going to be sticking with the Easy Build Up gel, but this time in Sweet Rose, which is more of a rosy toned pink, but because we've got that lighter pink shade underneath in the rubber colour base, it does alter the colour a little bit. And that's one of the things I love about the rubber colour bases and combining them with the Easy Build Up gel. You can kind of create more custom shades. So I've popped down my thin first coat of Sweet Rose, and then into that we're going to start picking up our little hearts, and I want to do a glitter fade with them on this now. So starting off, I'm applying them all really close together down at that cuticle area, trying to fill in as many of the gaps as possible. And then as we work down towards the nail bed area of the nail, we're going to start fading and floating those hearts out to create a cute little glitter fade. Now, of course, you could pop a finer glitter underneath these if you wanted a more full coverage look, but I quite liked how this looked with being able to just still see some of the pink showing through. Once you're happy with how they're placed, you're going to want to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds, as that's going to cure that layer of builder gel and then hold those hearts in place ready to be encapsulated. Now what I'm going to do is, because I want a little bit more of this colour showing through on the tip of the nail, I'm going to encapsulate and build up the structure on the tip of the nail with the Sweet Rose. So I'm applying this over half of the nail and blending it back so it gives that hidden look over the hearts as well, which I really like the look of. Of course, if you don't want it to have that hidden effect, you can just fully encapsulate with crystal clear. So just coming in with that slip layer to begin with, and then a small builded ball of gel, working that down to the tip of the nail. This doesn't need to be too thick, as you want your tip to be the thinnest part of the nail, so you don't need to pick up too much gel to do this. Then when we've popped that in to cure for 60 seconds, I'm going to switch to the Easy Build Up in Crystal Clear to finish encapsulating. So with this layer, I'm going to take the Crystal Clear over the entire nail, just so that our slip layer is going to blend nicely over the Sweet Rose. But I'm going to take that slip layer over the entire nail, then pick up my builder ball layer, and then just start gently working that from side to side like we did on the first nail, predominantly using this layer to encapsulate those hearts and build up that apex area. So you don't want to push your builder layer too close up to the cuticles or the sidewalls, as you don't want them to be too thick or bulky. I did then come in with a little bit more, as I didn't feel as though I'd built my apex up enough, especially where we've got those chunky hearts there. We do also need to make sure that they are encapsulated in. I did also hold this upside down for a few seconds, again just to let gravity do its thing and help everything self-level nice and quickly. And then we're going to file and refine exactly the same as we did before. So I always like to fix up that shape, even if I'm not going to file the surface of the nail, because I do like to have a nice crisp shape. A lot of the time though, I do like to just come in and file the surface of the nail, even if the nail is not too uneven, just because I feel as though it gives you a nice, refined, crisp finish. You only will need to do a few swipes with your file to get that nice and even. And then again, just coming in with our buffer to smooth everything out and remove any of those scratches before dusting off. And you can see massively how much it crisps up the shape, especially of those side walls. Cleaning everything off with an alcohol wipe, we're going to come in again once more with that no wipe top coat and top coat to bring back the shine. And this is something I love as well, when you do file and buff and everything goes dull, and then you come back in with your top coat and bring everything back to life. And I really loved how this nail turned out. I love a glitter fade, and I really loved how these purple hearts looked against that sweet rose base. On to our third design, I have already done my base coat, so I've done one coat of RB02, and then we're going to come in with Sweet Rose again. And then on this now, I'm going to start off by applying my thin layer to begin with, and we're going to do something slightly different on this now. This was again another experiment. So I'm popping that first coat down. This is like a base layer, so that you've got a layer of strength down on the nail before we start coming in with our glitters. And on this one, I'm going to start off with a coat of Galaxy. Now Galaxy is a beautiful bluey purple shade. It's got a transparent jelly blue base and then these super fine purple and holographic glitters. It is super pretty. So I've popped that down, and we haven't popped it into Cure yet because we're going to come in and apply our hearts, of course, because I had to have these hearts in all of the nails. So I'm predominantly just popping these down the center of the nail because they are quite chunky, and when you're encapsulating, usually down the center and the spine of the nail is going to be the thickest part, so you're going to be able to encapsulate them nicely without having a too thick and bulky nail. Just nudging them around so that I'm happy with how they're all placed, and then once you are happy with how they're all placed, you're going to pop this in to Cure for 30 seconds just to secure them down in place so they don't move around when it comes to encapsulating, and of course to cure that Galaxy. Then we are going to encapsulate this the full now with crystal clear. So starting off with my slip layer, really working that around those hearts. And if you are doing this on yourself or a client, this is with your slip layer is where you want to make sure that you're not getting any on your skin or cuticles, because your builder layer follows wherever you've applied your slip layer. So if your slip layer ends up running into your cuticles and sidewalls, just make sure you clean it up with some alcohol before you come in and build up the nail. So we've built up the nail exactly the same as we have done on the previous nails, fully encapsulating those hearts and then making sure that we've built up the strength and structure. So off camera I did file and buff the same as before and give the nail a good clean, but instead of coming in and top coating, I'm going to come in with a layer of Royalty. So now Royalty is a really beautiful regal looking purple, but in one coat it's semi opaque, so it's not full on opaque. As you can see, it's got a bit of a jelly look to it in just the one coat. So I popped this over, and again, this was a massive experiment, but I loved how it turned out. Those hearts just look as though they're embedded, and you can still see some of the Galaxy glitter shining through. I thought it was just a really cute look and a way to add a splash more of purple to the nail. So now that we've cured Royalty, all that we need to do is come in and top coat. We didn't need to do any more encapsulating because we encapsulated with our crystal clear. So we're just going to add in our top coat to seal in the Royalty. And I have to say, this nail was one of my favorites. I would happily wear a full set of these, maybe even with some more hearts stamped over the top, just to add another layer and another level of dimension, because I really love these embedded nail designs. On to the fourth and final design. Again, I've already done my layer of RB02 and I'm coming in with Sweet Rose. Now here I wish I had done the 2 coats of RB02 so that this now matched the glitter fade now a little bit more, but I didn't think of that at the time. So I've done one thin coat of Sweet Rose, and on this now we're just going to add one cute little heart in down at that cuticle area, and then pop this in to Cure. Of course, if you wasn't adding on this little heart, you could just do a full normal layer of Sweet Rose, but I wanted to add in just one. So then we are going to come in and we're then going to come in and encapsulate. So I'm going to do a thin coat of sweet rose. This is our slip layer, working it over that little heart. Now, of course, this in one coat and down at that cuticle area, it's not going to cover up our heart too much because sweet rose is a more sheer to semi-opaque shade. And again, it gives off that embedded look. But if you didn't want the heart to look as hidden as much as it did now, then I would recommend building up half your nail with the sweet rose, then adding in your heart, and then building up the rest of the nail with crystal clear, because that way you would still see the heart more. But I felt as though the embedded look matched for this set. Now here you'll see I built up most of the nail, but I felt as though down the spine of the nail looked a little bit uneven. There was a bit of a dip, so I just come in with another small line of gel and worked that from the middle of the nail to the tip, held it upside down, cured, filed and buffed, and we're ready to come in and do a French tip. So I wanted to include a little bit more of royalty so that the set flowed. So I've added on royalty to my Kiki London nail art palette, and then I'm going to take the Kiki London French brush. Now I'm going to be brutally honest, my French did not go perfect today. It's been a long time since I've done a French on a square nail, and it kind of just threw me off a little bit, because a lot of the time I'll work on a more pointed or a more almond nail, or maybe even like more of a coffin / ballerina, and you work your French a little bit different depending on the shape you are doing. And here I just felt as though I couldn't get my wings right how I wanted them to look, because on a pointed almond it's a lot easier to get that deeper look with your wings. So on this first coat I do faff about a little bit, but the French brush still makes this the easiest way in my opinion to do a French. So I started off by coming in, keeping my brush nice and flat to the nail and getting on my rough sort of shape with my French. Then I'm using the longer part of the brush to bring those wings down, and because it had been a little bit messy, I come in with my round nail art brush and a little bit of alcohol just to clean that up before popping it into cure. Second coat always goes a lot easier, so again just loading up the brush with a generous amount of gel polish, keeping it nice and flat to the nail. And on this second coat I do cap the free edge as well, just so you can see that purple there. There's kind of personal preference depending on how you want your design to look, but when I'm doing a French over a pink base, I would rather have the tip capped with whatever color I was doing my French in. I think it just looks more neater. So we've done that second coat, and then we're going to pop that into cure for 30 seconds, and then finally we're going to come in with our final layer of no wipe top coat. So I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this to the entire nail and then pop this in to cure for 30 seconds. Gosh, I lost my train of thought there. So I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. If you are ever unsure on how long you should cure your Kiki London products, you will always find the information is on the bottle, which is really handy because there are a few products that do require a 60-second cure, but predominantly most of them do require 30-second cure. Anyway guys, this is the finished result. I really loved how they turned out, but do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and hit that subscription button if you haven't already. As always, all the products I've used will be linked in the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.